My dad said, "You're not struggling, you're just lazy." So I sent him my salary, my savings, and a photo of his dream car in my garage. Now he wants to talk. I want silence. I was standing in my apartment kitchen, hands still greasy from working a double shift, when my dad's text came through. "You're not struggling, you're just lazy." I laughed. Not the funny kind. The bitter, hollow kind that feels like it might shatter your ribs if you let it out too long. I'm 28. I work 2 jobs, HVAC tech by day, dish pit at a late-night diner on weekends. My rent is paid, my fridge is never full but never empty, and most nights I fall asleep fully clothed because I'm too tired to undress. But yeah, lazy. My dad, Mitch, 58, has never worked a day in trades. He's a retired project manager who managed people who maybe once held a wrench. He's the kind of guy who scoffs at minimum wage workers while tipping 10%, who once said, "People who struggle just lack discipline." He used to bench press that phrase like it was gospel. We haven't been close in years. Not since I dropped out of college after mom died. I was 19, and grief hit like a freight train with no brakes. I couldn't afford tuition, couldn't afford therapy, couldn't afford to be anything but exhausted. So I started working. Dad didn't call, didn't ask why, just sent me one email. Disappointed but not surprised. Our relationship became holiday phone calls and occasional guilt texts. Until last week, when he called out of nowhere, asked how I was doing. I made the mistake of telling the truth, that the hours were long, that I felt stuck, that sometimes I fall asleep in my car between jobs just to catch 20 minutes of quiet. He said it again, with that voice, that smug, casual cruelty he wears like cologne. "You're not struggling, you're just lazy." I didn't respond. I didn't scream. I didn't even type. I just stared at that text while my ears rang and my jaw clenched hard enough to ache. Then I did something I hadn't done in years. I pulled out my phone, opened my bank app, and took a screenshot of my savings. $82,417.33. Every dollar from every overtime shift, every greasy tip, every skipped meal, every repair job I took after hours. Then I took a photo of the garage. Sitting inside it, a matte black 1967 Shelby GT 500, his dream car, the one he used to make me wash on Sundays when I was 12, pointing at it like it was the Sistine Chapel, the one he sold after mom died to focus on practical things. I bought it 3 months ago, found it rotting in a barn 2 states over, spent weekends restoring it in secret, not to gift to him, to prove to myself I could, that I wasn't lazy, that I could build something beautiful even when no one was watching. I sent him the screenshots, then blocked his number. He emailed me the next morning. "Can we talk?" "No, Mitch. I want silence. When I was younger, I used to dream about earning my dad's respect, not love. He gave that out in performance-based installments. But respect? That was the real prize. The nod across the dinner table, the rare clap on the shoulder after mowing the lawn just right. I thought maybe if I worked hard enough, became somebody, he'd see me. Not as a disappointment, not as a lazy dropout, just as his son. But the thing about chasing respect from someone like Mitch is that the goalpost keeps moving. You graduate high school? Should have gone Ivy. You land a job, it's not in an office. You save money? Why aren't you investing it? He always found a way to twist success into shame. After I blocked him, I thought maybe I'd feel free. I didn't. Not at first. Because the second I shut that door, my aunt texted me. Then my cousin. Then my dad's girlfriend, of all people. "Your dad's really hurt. He just wants to talk. This is so unlike you. Are you okay?" Unreal. I ghosted one man, and suddenly I'm the unhinged one. I didn't reply. I let them spin whatever stories they needed to justify his behavior. That's what my family does. They narrate around the silence until the truth disappears. But a few days later, my sister called. Megan, 31. We've always been close-ish, but even she tiptoes around Mitch. She called with that anxious tone, like she was walking on emotional glass. "Hey, Dad's kinda spiraling." I just sat there. He saw the car photo. I guess it hit him harder than he expected. "Yeah," I said flatly. "Weird what happens when you realize your kid's not lazy, just not telling you shit anymore." There was silence on her end. Then quietly, "He cried, Nate, like actual tears." I laughed. "So? I don't know, it shook me. He's not used to being wrong." That was the thing. Mitch wasn't just surprised I'd saved up. He was confronted by the fact that I'd stopped needing his approval, stopped trying. That car in my garage wasn't a flex. It was a mirror, and he couldn't stand the reflection. Later that week, I came home to find an envelope in my mailbox. No return address, but I recognized the handwriting. Inside was a note. "You've made your point. I'm proud of you. Please call me." No apology, no ownership, just a vague olive branch wrapped in ego. I didn't call. Instead, I went into the garage, sat behind the wheel of that Shelby, and turned the key. The engine roared to life like it was laughing with me. I wish I could say that was the end of it, that I rode off into the sunset in my Shelby, finally liberated from my father's judgment. But guilt is a tricky bastard. It doesn't care if you're right. It just lingers, whispering that maybe, you went too far. That whisper got louder when Megan called again, this time crying. Nate, he's in the hospital. My chest seized. What? Not like dying, but he collapsed at work. Stress, high blood pressure, all of it. They ran tests. It was bad. For a moment, I felt the old instinct kick in, the one that used to rush to fix things. Be the good son. Show up. Make it better. But then I remembered what showing up had gotten me. The last time I tried to be there, for his retirement party, he introduced me to his old co-workers as my son, the one who's still figuring things out. I was 25, already working 2 jobs. I had just paid off my first car in full, and that was still figuring it out. Now I had a house, a 6-month emergency fund, a car he used to fantasize about, and still, silence wasn't enough. He wanted me, my presence, my forgiveness, my surrender. Megan was still talking. He keeps asking for you. I told him I'd try. I didn't know what to say, so I said nothing. Let the silence breathe until she got uncomfortable and hung up. 3 days passed. Then he showed up at my job. I was under a unit, wrench in hand, covered in sweat and dust, when I heard my name. That voice. The one that always carried disappointment like a secret ingredient. I rolled out from under the AC unit and there he was, in a stiff button-down, dark circles under his eyes, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. Nathan, he said. I didn't move. What the hell are you doing here? I needed to see you. Just talk. Please. My coworkers were starting to look over. I wiped my hands on a rag, stood up slow. You don't get to ambush me at work. I didn't know how else to reach you. I scoffed. You ever try actually apologizing? He flinched. I didn't mean, but you said it. You're just lazy. You said that like it was fact. I was angry. I didn't know you were doing so well. And why didn't you know? He looked down. Because he never asked. Never once in 8 years asked what I was building, what I was surviving. He came closer. I'm proud of you. I really am. The car, the savings. That's not why I sent you those pictures. He blinked. I sent them because I needed you to see me. Not the version you narrate at dinner parties. The actual me. The one who's been dragging himself through the mud while you called it laziness. His eyes glassed over. I know. I was wrong. I stared at him. Waited. But nothing else came. No, I'm sorry. No, I failed you. Just I was wrong. Like it was a typo on a spreadsheet. I turned, walked back to my toolbox. Don't come here again. Behind me, silence. Then, Nathan, I want silence, Dad. That's what I've earned. The silence didn't last. A week later, my landlord texted me. Hey man, your dad stopped by. Said he was checking on your living situation. Wanted to know if you were paying rent on time. I read that message 3 times before it sunk in. My face went numb. My hands shook. He was sniffing around my landlord. Not calling, not emailing. No attempt at a proper conversation. Just going behind my back to the guy who owns my building like I'm some irresponsible teenager. I called the landlord immediately. Did he say anything else? He asked what you pay. If I give you breaks on rent. If you were behind. Kinda nosy, honestly. And there it was. He couldn't believe the truth. Couldn't believe that I was self-sufficient, thriving, making it all work. So he tried to find proof I was lying. That the car, the savings, the apartment, it was all fake. Some illusion masking my supposed failure. He wanted to catch me in a lie so he could cling to the version of me he needed. The disappointment. The cautionary tale. I sat in my garage that night, staring at the Shelby, and all I felt was rage, cold and dense and bitter. You think I'm pretending, Mitch? Fine. Let me show you how real it is. I made a folder on my desktop, titled it, Lazy, huh? I filled it with photos. Every bank statement from the last 3 years, side by side with every invoice from my HVAC gigs. I added a breakdown of every side hustle I'd done. Duct cleanings, water heater installs, weekend repairs for elderly folks in my neighborhood. I even included a time-stamped photo of me climbing into a crawl space at 3 a.m. during an emergency call in January. Then I sent it to Megan. Not to my dad. To her. The subject line? For when he says it's not real. She called me an hour later. Nate, what the hell is this? You said he cried, I said. But he didn't cry because he was wrong. He cried because he lost control. Megan went quiet. I could hear her breathing through the speaker. Then she whispered, he's been telling people you're spiraling. That the car was a dumb purchase. That you're having some kind of manic episode. I closed my eyes. Of course. If the narrative didn't fit, change the story. If he couldn't make me look like a failure with facts, he'd do it with rumors. That's when I knew. This wasn't about respect. It never had been. It was about power. And I had taken mine back. So I leaned all the way in. I made a Facebook post. Just a photo of the Shelby in my garage and the caption, built this with the hands he said were lazy. Paid for it with the money he said I'd never earn. Drove it home with the pride he tried to strip from me. Within hours, my uncle liked it. My cousin shared it. A few old family friends commented fire emojis or, "Damn, Nate," or, "This is gorgeous, congrats." The next morning, I got an email from him. "That was unnecessary. You're hurting our family. Can we please talk?" I didn't respond. I was already planning what came next. Update 1. Okay, I didn't expect the post to blow up like that. Some of y'all really went in, and I mean that in the best, most chaotic way possible. First off, thank you. Seriously. The messages, the DMs, the hilarious takes. I wasn't ready for how validating this would feel. Some of you said the Shelby was a nuclear-level flex. Others called it dad vengeance in 4 wheels. One guy just commented, "Drive over his ego," and I swear I laughed for a solid 5 minutes. But a few things have happened since I posted. First, my dad saw the Facebook post. Apparently, my cousin sent it to him with the caption, "Looks like he's doing fine to me." He didn't like that. According to Megan, he had a meltdown, like full pacing the living room, yelling about disrespect kind of meltdown. Then he emailed me again, this time accusing me of publicly humiliating him. Said I was being cruel, right? Because calling your kid lazy and trying to get dirt from his landlord is just constructive criticism. But posting a car photo is abuse. Anyway, here's the kicker. I got a certified letter yesterday from his lawyer. Yep. It wasn't a lawsuit or anything dramatic, just some passive-aggressive legalese about defamation and emotional distress. I almost spit my coffee out laughing. The man who told me I'd never amount to anything is now trying to threaten me because I told the truth? I haven't responded. Don't think I will. Because here's the truth. I don't owe him a damn thing. Not my story, not my silence, not even a phone call. More soon. This isn't over. I showed the letter to my buddy Elias the next day. He's not a lawyer, but he's the closest thing I have to a big brother, a former mechanic turned small business owner, built like a linebacker with the patience of a saint until you mess with someone he loves. He read it twice, then tossed it onto my workbench and snorted, "Defamation? Bro, you didn't call him anything. He just didn't like people seeing who he really is." And he was right. The letter didn't scare me. What it did was confirm something I'd always suspected but never wanted to admit. Mitch didn't care if I was okay. He only cared how I made him look. And now that I wasn't playing the role of broke, desperate disappointment, I was a threat. So I leaned in again. That night, I made another post. This time, I didn't just show the car. I told the story. No names, but anyone from our circle could connect the dots. I laid it out in plain language. My dad told me I was lazy. I showed him my savings, my life, my work. He tried to go behind my back, then tried to silence me. I ended it with this. If speaking my truth makes you uncomfortable, maybe you weren't supposed to be part of the audience. And then I logged off. Didn't check the comments. Didn't wait for the fallout. But it came anyway. The next morning, someone keyed the Shelby, a deep, ragged gouge down the driver's side, from headlight to taillight, like a scar carved into something sacred. I just stood there in the garage staring at it, my throat tight, my fists shaking, because I knew, not for a fact, not legally, but in my gut, in my bones. No one else would have done it. No one else knew how to hurt me like that. I called Megan. Her voice was shaking before I even said anything. "I'm so sorry, Nate. I told him you were serious. I told him to leave it alone." "You think it was him?" "I don't know," she whispered. "But last night, he was ranting, saying you humiliated him, that you needed a wake-up call. Then he stormed out around midnight. Didn't say where he was going." I didn't respond. Just looked at the car. My work, my pride, my proof, bleeding silver down a black canvas. That was the moment the anger cracked open. Not the loud, fist-punching the wall kind. The quiet, cold kind that settles deep into your spine. "You want a wake-up call, Mitch? Okay, let's wake everyone up." I took a week off work. Not because I was scared, not because I needed time to recover, but because I needed time to plan. See, Mitch always thought the worst thing I could do was disappoint him, but I'd already done that. Repeatedly. What he never counted on was me turning that disappointment into a platform. So I made a decision. If he wanted to play dirty, I'd play surgical. I started with the HOA. Mitch's neighborhood is this uptight little slice of Stepford, where everyone mows on Wednesdays, flags are regulation size, and God forbid your trash cans be visible from the street. He's on the board, of course. Loves flexing that tiny sliver of authority like it's a government badge. What most people didn't know was that his vintage BMW parked slightly off-code on the curb every Thursday night. His gutters, full of moss. His back patio, built without a permit 5 years ago. I knew all this because I'd helped install the lighting system under it. Unlicensed. Cash job. No inspection. So I sent an anonymous tip with photos. Then I uploaded the receipts, including timestamped texts from him where he bragged about beating the system, HOA violations, city permit evasion, possible fines. But I didn't stop there. Remember how he used to humiliate me at family gatherings? Call me the lost cause? Or our little underachiever in front of cousins and neighbors. Well, I still had a folder full of those dinner videos from Megan's wedding, the ones where he got tipsy and couldn't help himself. So I clipped a few of the worst moments, him mocking my job, my clothes, my life, and uploaded them as a private video. Then I sent the link to every person he'd told I was spiraling. No commentary, just the truth, unfiltered, undeniable, and then I waited. 2 days later, my phone lit up like Christmas. Megan again, her voice frantic. Nate, what the hell did you do? What happened? Dad's freaking out. The HOA is threatening to fine him. The city sent a warning letter, and Uncle Ray saw the video. He called me, asking if it was real. Dad's saying you're trying to destroy him. I exhaled. I'm not trying to destroy him, Meg. I'm showing people who he really is. And here's the kicker. She didn't argue. She just said, it's working. Later that night, he called from a blocked number. I didn't answer. I was busy buffing the new coat of paint on the Shelby. Took me 3 full days to restore that scratch. I made sure it gleamed brighter than before, because some things you don't leave scarred. Some things you make shine. So they never forget what they tried to break. Update 2. Phew. Okay. Last update, and then I swear I'm out. This has been a trip. So here's where we landed. After the HOA came knocking and the city sent that permit notice, Mitch went on full PR damage control. Started calling around, trying to spin everything. Said the videos were taken out of context. That I was emotionally unstable and twisting facts. Classic, except no one was buying it this time. Because for once, people had evidence. They saw the real him. The bitterness, the ego, the control. And honestly, I think some of them always knew. They just needed permission to stop pretending. He lost his seat on the HOA board this week, voluntarily stepped down before they voted to remove him. Megan told me he's been going to bed early, barely speaking, acting hollow. And then yesterday, I got a letter, handwritten. No envelope, just taped to my front door in uneven script. I see it now, all of it. I don't expect forgiveness, but I know I earned your silence. That was it. No name, no date, no plea, just acknowledgement. And weirdly, that was enough. I'm not going to reach out. I'm not going to respond. This chapter's done. I've got work to do, friends who've shown up in bigger ways than blood ever did, and a rebuilt Shelby that purrs like absolution. To everyone who followed this, thank you. Seriously, some of y'all had me cackling, others hit nerves I didn't even know needed hitting. But you made me feel seen. And Mitch, you were right about one thing. I'm not struggling anymore. Programma ChatGPT Skazala, I didn't expect peace to feel so quiet. No dramatic finale. No slow-motion apology on a front lawn. Just the absence of chaos. No more side comments. No more whispered doubts. No more war waged in text messages or Facebook likes. The letter on my door was the last gasp of a man choking on his own legacy. I read it once, folded it in half, and slid it into the glove box of the Shelby. Not to keep, not to remember, but to bury. Like ashes in an urn I'll never open. Megan asked if I'd meet him. Just once. She said he was getting older. That he's been going to church again, whatever that means. He's trying, Nate, she said. Voice low like it might break if she said it too loud. Trying what? I asked. To heal or to rewrite? She didn't answer. We both knew. He wasn't after forgiveness. He wanted revision. A new story where he'd always meant well. Where the slap was just a pat on the back that went too hard. Where his silence was tough love and not neglect. But I've got no interest in fiction. I lived the draft he abandoned. Instead, I've been building. The Shelby's done now. Fully restored. Repainted, re-chromed, re-trimmed. I take it out on weekends, mostly to the parts of town he never goes. Places where people nod at the rumble of an engine instead of clutching pearls. I've been helping Elias on job sites again. Not because I have to, my own work pays fine, but because it feels good, honest. There's something beautiful about fitting metal to wood, sweat to purpose. And last Friday, after finishing a job, we parked the truck on the bluff above the highway, watched the city sprawl beneath the stars. You ever think about talking to him again? Elias asked. I took a long pull from my water bottle, let the silence breathe. Talking to him wouldn't change anything, I said. He doesn't get to hurt me and then ask for applause when he stops. Elias nodded, jaw tight. You're a better man than him. I laughed. Nah, I'm just done pretending he was ever the blueprint. Because that's the thing no one tells you. Sometimes healing isn't loud. It's not a confrontation or a breakthrough. It's just a choice. To stop carrying the weight, to put it down, and walk away. Last week I got a letter from the DMV. It was a title transfer confirmation for the Shelby. I hadn't requested anything, so I called. Turns out, someone had tried to transfer ownership of the car using a forged signature and an old copy of the bill of sale. They flagged it instantly, thank God, but the clerk said the guy who filed it left furious. Said, his son wouldn't have a damn thing if not for him. I didn't even need to ask who it was. The rage that hit me wasn't loud. It was ice. clean and cutting. He really thought he could take it back, the symbol of everything I built without him. As if the car, the money, the life I carved from sweat and spite somehow still belonged to him. That was the final proof. It had never been about love, or family, or reconciliation. It was about ownership, and I'd broken the leash. I didn't report him. I didn't call to confront him. I just drove. I got in the Shelby, windows down, engine rumbling, and I drove upstate until I hit the cliffs where Mom used to take us when we were kids, where she'd let us scream into the wind and say it took the bad thoughts away. I parked, climbed the ridge, pulled the letter from my glove box. His final words, "I earned your silence." And he had, but not in the way he meant. He earned the silence of my absence, the quiet I left in every room he expected me to fill, the stillness I created when I stopped begging to be seen and started living. I lit the letter on fire, watched it burn to ash in my palm, and then I screamed, not in rage, not in grief, in relief, because for the first time in my life, I knew exactly who I was, without him, and who I would never let back in.